Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. Oh, I am so delighted to be with you guys and that Zoom is making this possible. I am coming to you from West Virginia. I put a map up so you could see the mountains. They're not super impressive compared to the ones you are close to, but they're old and rounded here in West Virginia where I'm sitting. But I have just come back last week from a trip to Kathmandu, Nepal, where I was teaching at the Kopan Nunnery as part of the Science for Monks and Nuns program. And I've also been lucky enough to have some other trips to Dharamsala and then also to Sarah and Gandon and Drepung. And I'm thinking I've almost certainly had some of you as students in the past. So it's wonderful to be with you again. I want to talk to you today. Let's share the next one here about the inquiry mindset, which I know has been the topic for you, but about what we're really all trying to do by bringing science to monastics and then you sharing it among yourselves and what's it all about. And this cartoon I thought was a funny way for us to start because it has to do with evolution and biology, but then also if you read the thoughts of each of these creatures, they're saying, eat, survive, and reproduce, eat, survive, and reproduce, until you come to the man. And then he's saying, what's it all about? So I'll let you translate that, Dawa, and then.
Samala Tristiles, Tanda Dela, Jeji Gauchons, Tanda, Ane Tanda Tratoni, the Zoom Jeji, Ane de Garza, Tanzania, the Sotupachon, the Gauchons, Tanda Yamakashi Melaya, Ane Tanda, Bayu Katmantu, Tanda Copen, Zumagumbalaya, Ane to Sandrik, Tanda, Ane Garza Tachungi to the Sandris, Tegi. Something the GG, any tentation on a loss in Scotland, something the clock to GG. And it under Jagala Toma Mamboyon, yes, the Jagala Gota Dam Salary, Sarah, Repon Gandela Mamboyon, Chichu, Chichinachon and the Kashika Shichiki, and I thought Chichu Tinda, Sotrina Shuyo Grace. That day, Matsu something. Chia did on the Gani, so the district some luchar society is the dana, Netanda Parishich or winning per Tidadochi, New Witch Tonsons, Yabuch Tonsons, the Delach by Bana, Semchen data, and some look at Lochi Tangi Meteta by Bana, near Town Magitas, Semchen Chita by Bana, some look quiet, Samasayache, and the Karsuata Tsunichiache, the Ne Chepechiachigorwa. And taking your team by Nayan, Samasa, Tunichi, and Chepecia, those Shin de Yon de Tama, that Milales Tambalaya, that day, that when it's in Sankaricina, say, Joati Tanshat, what is Tambalaya, day, Nidanda, Ningasugum Sentam Joy, and for Yanko Peria, which Tonsons.
So I have asked this question of monastics in the past. Why are you studying science? What brought you to want to be part of this class and to then be teachers of science? And when I've asked the question, I've gotten some fascinating answers. One of them was about the three poisons and how ignorance was the source of the other two poisons. And thus, if we could reduce ignorance, we could reduce suffering. Another answer I got was about the two wings of wisdom and compassion, and that if we could increase our wisdom, we could help create a more balance between these two wings, like the wings of a bird. This one has got me thinking about mixing the old and the new, and how that's part of our purpose. As a scholar, as an academic, one of my purposes is to retain past knowledge and to take care of it in the academic world. I mean, my role in society, and then also to teach it to others so that I hold on to it and we don't lose it, old knowledge, and I pass it on to others. That's part of my job. And then another part of my job as a scientist is to discover new things and to do scientific experiments and to make new observations and bring new understanding into academics. And I think this is a really nice image of the two wings of a bird, where the wings are, instead of wisdom and compassion, the wings are the old old and the new. And so I wanted to develop that thought a little bit about here with you today about mixing the old and the new, and what are some tools for us to be able to do that? What are some tools that have been tried and tested that would allow us to mix the old and the new in a more fruitful way?
that tanda chechu Jodi ngoma tanya US jodi kari jodi tanya na chechu ta tatsu ngone chenri jaya gi junsen kari imba chechu kari chine chenri jaya gi tono te leson sa tanga tane chechu rimjin ta ne jimatu ta jaya tang ma pa na chenri gi gen chia gi ani chi kar sugre ta chi chia gi dumba yo pa te kanaro chi leson sa ki je tamba la ya lenti ko ngone yapu te na nang son sta lenti chine ta nyamon tiseng ko nang ne nga chu mari pa te ni savage ya marupati savage by mana ran shingi ta nyom tusim te te ta nga sura chikar su ta ki dikki yungage number ti yong gorwa ti stambala nyom tusim te te sigdus ani shenda chim by na nga so ta shirab tang ninje ta thap tang shirab gi chi shokpa ni tang dan ba su gro ta ninje de ani ko ninje de da nangchino ne janggo ba kanshila tanda ta shirab tisena ta chu de chanri ke rupi ke ne de la jang bai bai na ne ko shokpa ni tang dan ba chi chagre sa gi ne atina sung du sta tini ta ngara imba na chi ta kari chi gu re se na ta chi khe pa da chetang ge chanri bai bai na chi de ka re se na nga cho tan de be ge 데베기 다 ngaran chairu paching bi chani zo den debegi shesha deta ani ko changya da deta ani juni chala be ta ani shenda de shikari chigi sena ani tandagi debegi ta chi shesha nimba ge rite ani lopchila ya lopchiya ta mala ngochuya ya chi begi yes ani tini shenda chikari sena chairu paching bi chani ani ta kasuguri chairu paching bi chani ani shesha saba dinaro chi jangya dang dinda sarnya chiala ya betun chi yusro distambala ya tanda imbaina ta chi ngasu ge cha de la shopa ni sa de ta ngasu de shirap de ninji ge shopa ni sa de bitun hangsang ge yago shi chi dus ta tanda ina ngasu ge shirap de ninji ge shopa ni ge chabla ya ani chi ge naiwe ge shesha dang ani tangre ge shesha sagro ta shesha imbaina shesha de nang ni nimba tang sarpa ni ge jiangu songzhe namba chi yongya la ya nga su kanaro chi chi ge me tang de ge thela ya ne nga su ge chi tools na ta lakcha chi ro ta de zo nyam de nyamsi ji ya yongya la ya nga su ge lakcha ri kanaro chi pe che tang ya dos ti ko la ngo chi yes.
So just as you might dissect or take apart the sources of suffering in order to better reduce it, I would like to take apart my job, my charge as a science professor in order to better do my job. So if I can dissect it, if I can take it apart and better understand those parts of it, then that can help me to do my job better.
nga su dunge de ma par zo ya la ya chi su in ba na chi ta dissect na dumbu dang chi ko ge ta dang yo re sta pi sha na chi nga su dunge ge jong khon te ka re ta pha che ge ta ko ka da cha se yang se chi dumbu che ge do ba na ti la te ne dunge ge ju ti ngo sha ta te pa ya la ya ne bang yo re sti nang shin ge ane ngaran chenri pa chi tang gi gen chin bi chane ngaran gi lomchen te yang ko do chi mai ba te la ya cha ki yang ki se de tang te gi tumbo ri re tang de cha ri re de ka se de tang te ta kan ro chi pe che tang yo me ta te ta ka ne ba pa na ba ki pen ka yo pas la ta ba na te gi ane gi gen ya bu chi cha tang lomchen ya bu chi cha la pen gi ris.
So there are two parts here that are part of my job, retaining the old and also discovering the new. And when I retain the old, I need to share it. I need to teach it to other people so that it's never forgotten. And I also need to discover new things in science. Uh-oh, oh no, sorry, remind me later. It's gone. Let me try sharing again.
Sure.
Okay, hold on.
Gigan chimbi chane ane gigan ngaran gigan chimbi chane ngala 아니 링긴이 요레서 링긴 지디까지레서나 다 나위기 시샤티 아니 지 주니지야 단 주니지야라야 니 가르치고레스나 티미 셴달라야 합치지야지 요로 때용고레스 니 셴다 가르치고레스나 시샤니 사바틴다로 선니지고 요레스 산르파치 미차니 니 선니지 때양 대양 미젠달라야 니 빼고 요레스.
Okay, I got it, right? You guys see it now again?
Yeah, click
And then I'll do
slideshow.
slideshow. Yep. Hooray. Okay. All right. So what I took, these pictures here on this slide are showing a lesson that I taught the nuns. I snapped a photo of their journals, and you can see that there's old information about plant reproduction that I had taught the class on the right-hand side here. And then on the left-hand side, the nun, the student, is writing her thoughts. And she's integrating the lesson that she just learned with some past information that she has. And so you're seeing here, actually in one notebook, a mixture of old and new as well in the mind of the nun, in the mind of the student.
다 단대게 데라야 디텍티유사데 니체 람친치비카스 아니 쳬라지키 신지답지데라레스 다다데게 예속살라타 바인바이나 마츠 지싱기 아나라 제페카나 지구요메 콜 한친치비카스 리모트샤지데라레스 예속사데라야 피칼라나 그 데베기 시샤가나네 카라도치 요메 지거로다 데이터 모트 제바데 투스티샤레스 니 윤초데라타 바인바이나 Delayani Samsukari Yumeta, Muryogi Sheshalatana data, Samsukari Yumeta, Joakari Yumeta, Kanado Sawashi, Mashila Sopak, Samnung Samsu Triores, that is Tambalite and the Dus Tabaina, and Chuela Chiki Samlunala, and Sheshati, Sabatan Yimba Nisha, Tiridanga Yupata, and Jitebdi Galaya, Shesha, Sabatan, Nimba Nisha, Yamsigi Mugala, Moyupati, those Tumkudus.
So I am using this dichotomy in a slightly different way to speak about inside each of our students. When they come into the classroom, they also bring old knowledge, understandings, and perhaps some misunderstandings with them into the classroom, and they need to mix it with the new information that we're giving them. So I'm using the same dichotomy, but in a slightly different way.
단다 되게 당가 속에 초니 땡기서 걸어왔다 무연이 땡기랑 신대 지금 넘버 만들어 지금은 시작하는 거는 수사 진짜게 나와야다 수질 해봐 임바이나야 거기 삼로가 나와야다 무연이스는 초니스는 인계랑 신선하다 지금 넘버 니무디 예바리스다 고주 임바이나 나요기 시작하리 예매지로 삼로 땅땅 라소파 yogi shesha koto yana ko lonjin girite yobache ente ganglaya ani shesha sabachi kanunchi sabachi jingyo ro atin stambalaya ni ngo ni ge ngode jiga namban dram ri ganglaya yongyo res.
The other picture I have up here is of a lab notebook. This is an especially famous page from an especially famous lab notebook. This was the notebook of Gregor Mendel, who was an important monk in the 1800s, who discovered and founded the field of genetics. Perhaps you've learned about him and crossing. He used pea plants and a little paintbrush to paint the pollen from one plant onto another and to study how heredity works. And these are his numbers, his counts from that research.
Tanda telaya enko percentage to adi maina ngasuge takchege detecta keta chambuchini tensajutiris tachetsu chichina singyorista Mendel igi determinate onjurista koi maina ngaso that chitung jejag nala chongbache ane ko tinga so riziri paget helaya keta chambu shutinari ta ku kare tasechi yoresena ane rizzi ta positive ta ko timagla ya ani timaso da semala ya tasechi de mitoknane ane ko ta pen brush sena ngasoge brush ni peche tang de chikis injection dan lu ane ta kandas digido sete tasechi warwa dandage ani detective gala ya 네 그런 게 딱시 는 드비 값에 아니 독시 좀비게 장토대도 쓰고 샤바지레스.
So you are looking at two of the notebooks of monastics. The one on the top is from a nun today who is learning information and integrating old and new information in her mind. And she's using her journal to do that. And the other is a lab notebook of a monk from the 1800s who is making new scientific discoveries and using his lab notebook to record those discoveries and to hold them.
Ada dela ta bai bane chorang ge chi par ni thong gore sta gangma de bai na ne tanda gi chala ya ane ko jima chi ge shisha sarpa ta ning pa sarpa jang te ga tele ning pa ni che te tang de ta kana do chi yo pa sin chi yo pa tres og de bai na ane chi ton je ja ga na la ya ne ko tawa chi de men la tawa chi ge ane ko taxi chi bi kaps ro ane taxi chi kaps ko rang ge takshegi tangtu kari chongme de ane ko takshegi ritena ko shabachires.
So I want to take some time to discuss journals and lab notebooks a little bit more so that you can better understand this practice of holding the information in journals and lab notebooks.
Da tiri bana nga so da gangla sintu chisha da sintu kashi nyendebla lag durwa da sintu china tabdios sintu tang da ane karsugurita takshegi ditabiorwa tencha kolaya tis ndeshajagi insta tikaresena nechizuge lapana zong de tangchima da trishaba de jelaya chi ayan lapana zong twayu chu nabangongorwas.
So Charles Darwin was another very famous scientist who kept lab notebooks and journals. When he was 26 years old, he took a trip. You can see the red line here on around the world. He took a trip on a sailing boat called the Beagle. And he had many important discoveries and observations that he made on that trip. He kept 18 journals while he was traveling, and he filled them with little drawings as well, 300 little sketches and drawings while he was on that trip.
Da shendaji kalana Charles Darwin days da so ge chimi report kete chambo Darwin ge da khu imbaina lu ni stati mi kaps tanda da Beagle sigwa tela de zamang la kurache japche ne di tapshi tong senye ge da digital shu yore swa da ti kabi na khorang imbaina da karsogore da ngaso ge takshegi dite tang yana sintu tragi tepchi orwa te nya pe ga yo res ta ti kur gi rje chasang la bana ko ge sintu ge tep te na chundam bi juje chi yo res wa ane ti gang la ya ane ti gang la ya rimu chang chung chi ya te na rimu sunja la rimu sunja chi yo res ta te ta na la ya ko ge ta tokshi kari chung song se ne kari chung song sa te kan za ni shi tsu ko gon ko yo res ni ta da de o la ya dich to satra gang la ya 그 말고 텐샤도 그 말고 텐샤데 딱고 가나가나스 두게 딱 람kat 땡도아 수준하네.
So with such a famous man, many people are interested to read his journals, and they have noticed all the wonderful stories and observations he noted in his journals. In 1835, he saw an enormous tortoise, a turpin, and he said it didn't really pay any attention to him, and he noted that little story. Or he noted a story when he was attacked by bed bugs and bitten by bed bugs when he was in Argentina. So all of these stories are written in his journals, and who knows what will become important from them or not, but he is keeping a record and he is holding them somewhere in a journal as he travels.
Da ko digital kapse yang ko ge sintu gna ko bi kapse khashida ko ke chembu dire ko ro khashin ba na ya chome ju tinda ko ro special chichung de jala sim chinga lo la ya ane ko dina ko sha dus ro ane rube chembu minla ya da terpins de terpins de da rube chembu tong song sim ba na nga la ya tuno shu chi chi ma son tinda chi ko sha do ni shemba na yang ko karsa gure da ko Argentina yo pick up nga so ge da ni chi ga ni di ki ko la ya di shi na po chi ko so jap song se di shi na po so jap song se tinda ko sha do den stamba ya ko ge ti ge kaps ge chongwa da ya zo da du ngen ga rin ba na ko sha sta kar chi la ba na ji maung ba la ya chongwa te zo ge ya peng ge to ne ge ha go mo ra den stamba la ya chongwa ko rong ge ti kaps da kar chi chongwa te sama sintuna ko sha res.
So I would like to copy the masters that came before me. If I want to be more like Charles Darwin, then I should do the practices that he did. And so I have copied him. And when I took this trip to Nepal, just this last week I got back, these are some of the pages in my journal from that trip. So you can see I was writing notes and stories about things that I saw, and I was also painting little pictures, things that I learned and things that I saw on my travels. So these are just several pages from my most recent journal.
다 미케다 챔버 차 스타빈도 which chanji do bai bai na ani ngarang la tin na jing ta lemo chi gu wa sta tin sta balaya niche ta be la dus angam sin chi gi tru kaps ani ngarang bai na sin ta nin te mye de te nin te na la ya kari thong wa tang kari shin ba te ko la ya sin tu ko sha yes ta te na la ji mangpo ko yo ba ne shobang kashi chi la ta bai bai na kare thong song ani yi gi chia ta 아니 remove 만도 가르다 코텔라야 remove 줘야 된다도 데이터 아니 조대 가서 그랬다 가리 통바다 아니 가리 지금 용송세 데이터 아니 지금 다 이게 당 remove 인샤게 남비 강라야 디슨도 것이에스.
So I have not had any brilliant insight on my trips, but I continue to record just as the geniuses before me have, hoping that by copying them, it will help me to better understand my travels and to have some insights into my travels.
다 단다게 telaya 단다 되게 드지 값이 임바나 고토치 사와 랍침부데도 아니마 송스 임바나 가는 게 리와데 간도 지기스나 다 데비게 미나 케토 쳔부게 니슨도 텐다도 니 닌테 나텔 신도 텐다도 트론스 담발야 테달라야 네치 레두기 나바 가네 니 가랑 두스메테 지기스 리와 가리 지기스나 데터 쵸라 텐데테 나치 고토다 지기 삼스다 지기 텐다 사와 용야라야 리와 지기스.
Charles Darwin, on the other hand, did have some brilliant insights after his travels. And in one of his notebooks, you can see the moment when he had a realization about how all of the life on Earth might be related back through a common ancestor. And when he had this thought, he recorded it in his journal. And you can see the drawing here showing a common ancestor, and from it, the branching out of all the other organisms. He wrote above it, "I think." Do you see these words here? I think. So this was an idea he had, and he used his journal as a place to hold his ideas and his observations.
자 디캅스 단단데라야 찰스 다윈기 바이나 코랑게 다 신투 고비기 다 닌데브나텔 신투 트레바데 도스지레스타 코이바이나 도시카레 종송 다 간다로 지치도 디차마 트리어리스타 디캅스 바이나 다 찰스 다윈라야 갑데라 아니 콜라야 다 똑바스고라 다 고톡 사와치 니에바데 코롱데나 코샤리레스 다 고톡 사와데 카레스나 아니 징위 차마다 지금 징위 차마 니 담ong고 뮤징니 벤지 중아레샤세 데 고게 데라야 니 코요레스와 다 단데데 버디 같은 당포 지기네 니 점신때는 예가나신 아니 그 징위데 가자 체드야치도가 어디 총바데 그런 하고 되던 디 그런 게 아니 신토라 question 신토라 question 아니 티 그런 게다 되게 갑게 다 세니치나 거래 양나 주디 가래서나 그런 게 삼치기 바데 쇼고게 간데라 통고도 I think 니 삼치라스 네 징외데 도몽고 미우치네 중앙 인사레 스데텔라야 지야다 아까서 이게 간라 거 바다 그 리무글람네야 도스 선버지샤도스.
So this enormous new understanding came into our world. Here it's held, the moment that it came is held in this journal for us. And it makes this page a very important page. People actually, many people have looked at this page and celebrated it and considered it. And just imagine if we had a page in the journal of the Buddha when he had a moment of insight, right? And we could visit it and we could see his new understandings held in a book for us to look at.
the Masepe, Anitanda Ko, Charles Darwin, like Kutuk Sawa Chombati Kurangita, Ninteb not listen to the Goshabati in Stambalaya, listen to dig that Nergioris, or some Lukari Chombati, Tus Nergioris. That team by now, Masuda, that me Mambo Chikita Tandagi, Charles Darwin, you couldn't Trisha Jugi, doesn't to the Dustelaya, and it told your taking it on the Kanay Bahaku, so a team by now, they get a Sintuna Trisha Jugita, the Kotok Sarvadero Kota, ko Kechambuji Chagor, Sajan Chambu Chagor, Instambalaya, and me Mambuch get Tonyoris, Instambalaya, Chikasta, Kotok Sarva Sachambode, and also Sintuna Koba de Kechambu Chagorista, Pisha Binash, and that's also Samadan Bina, Netumba Sanji Chunden de Kedi, and a Kugis into Tangin near your Bina, Netumba Sanji Chunden de. Koran san jebe ge nikap ke ani chrowa dang chi yor wa da senye jongwa ge netan tikete ani te ke de sintuna chiyo ba na nga chu ge da tanda nga chu ge pe la ya nga chu song de tong sintu te la ya je ndo chi yo ba na ati na ha chang ge da ka ta ya ho chi ing ge was ya ho chi yin ba res da tenda do in chang ani nga chu ka da samlu dang sam chu ka rin ba na ya te chi sintuna goi goi de
So we know that the Buddha was meditating and that practice helped him to come to some new realizations and understandings. Similarly, here we can see that Darwin was writing and he was drawing, and that practice of writing and drawing helped him to come to some new realizations. It is a practice like the practice of meditation, but a different one, writing and drawing in a journal.
Nga so tomba sanji chondun de ane ko sang je de ane kurang ge ta gum jab ji ayong warwa ta samji tang gum jab ji on jures wa ane gum jab ji de ta sanji paris ta toba sawa chile paris ti nan shingi ta Darwin la cha sha bai bai na khoge ane khoge sin chi na tali ta ji yi like remula ya ji tous de na chiba da yi da remula ko pa de la ten de ko la ya ne karso ta de ta la ten de ko la ya ko to sarba de ne bares instambala ya de kapsa nga so ya karso gre da nga so ta namba bana chigita sonji chomden de bana gom jeb chi nyamlen che bares gom jeb chi nyamlen la lan te ta yo res ti na shin ge Charles Darwin ta la chomba bana yike tri ya da ani ko remote ya chi wa de nga so nyamlen gi ta chi thap ta yana topa serwa nyegi ta nyamlengi laglenda uchilaya kunand kores.
So Darwin was not the first to use journals and to write and draw in order to think. Leonardo da Vinci was doing it 400 years before Darwin. This is a page from, I'm sorry, this is a page from Leonardo da Vinci's journal.
Tanda ko ngaso kasubata chi jangya dang de che de sinji dang sintu beche dang ya de Darwin dangken thoma de Darwin maris Leonardo da Vinci gi ani Darwin li ngue lu ja ge ngue la ya ani tanda korangi chi jia dang mu jia dang yi ge jia chi ro de la tene de dang ani tong dong chong ba jia chi ro wa de beche dang ya res de ne korangi ani sintu ni tombi ani shongni chi res.
And we can see many other famous journals. This is from the 1500s. This is the journal we still have from Galileo, who discovered that the earth goes around the sun. And you can see his drawings in his journal and his records and thoughts as he wrote about this new discovery in his journal.
Pishana Shenda Chigani Chitonga Jaganala, Galileo Korange, and a Sukolati Nimala Koraja to say Tig Seneti Chonyoris, that Seneti Chongi Capsukurange, Toshikari Chonwata, taking Dejokari, but Samako get to them like those Koshayoris.
Some other pictures of famous journals. This is the journal of Thomas Jefferson, who was a founder of the United States. He actually kept it on ivory from elephant tusks. He would write on them during the day in the small collection of pages made of ivory. And then in the evening, he would copy his notes onto a paper book, a much heavier, bigger paper book, so that he could have quick notes during the day and then copy them into his permanent journal at night. And then he would wipe away his notes on the ivory and be able to write on it again for the new day. And so we have his little ivory notebook that he carried in his pocket. And I guess that's the last things he wrote on it. That's his handwriting on it there.
다 현대직거래에서는 가서 다 신지진이스도 괜히 게다 진지 토마스 제퍼슨데 직통 등장하나 아리 이게 다 아리티 당포 다 제케트 산주진이 리도가 코인바이나 아니 가서 바수요 바수 조샤주게 아니 신진데 춘춘데 나오지가 녀거레스도와 나 거기 님무기스 아니 삼츠 가리총 바데 간자 아니 단다기 신진데 춘춘데 가다 바수 좀 바데 간라야 아니 답디 지게 요레스와 지 아니 되게 제라야 아니 공다인바이나 아니 따티 드텝 챔보 디스 지구사오간라야 아니 콜그 파라파피어 레스파노기 제라 아니 바수기 따치고 심지데 진주스토가데 메코 참마조야 이마지마텔 같이 당겨레스 따단다데 갑세바나 가서 고게 가리치어 바데 통고도 아스티스타발라고 바수기 아니 신투 데사데 간라야 아니 고게 다신지지와 다마데 아니 가서 두스 제아요레스
People are so anxious to copy these great masters that they would even like to copy his little ivory book. And I found on the internet that you can buy copies of Thomas Jefferson's little ivory notebook. You see it here. This is the new version. It's quite expensive, but you can get one so that your journal looks the same as his journal.
당가서 미인바이나 미신다게 드시지라고 여러 딘스타발라 인사양고 토마스 제퍼슨기 신지뎁사게 데당 자오유죠 아니 디나도 월라지 두아데 마데다 조샤스테 아고 다토네투스 뉴야두스 konda 챔버리샤 심바이나 디나 조조데데 야 수수게 양고 니마캅스 지금 삼츠게 챔버디나도 총바이나고 신지데살라야 베치도나 디두스
So just a few other beautiful journals so that I can really push this point that the great minds of the past have used journals and that this could help us try their same methods. So here is a picture of some journals from a trip in the early 1800s across the United States. And you can see they are filled with beautiful drawings and careful notes from the explorers, Lewis and Clark, when they traveled across the United States.
단다 디데시자데 카레인세나 가수게다 미 기타케라친 케바 망보게 두스타가서 신투디 두 신지지야데와 닌투 고야데 케첨보존요 바텔레텐데 티 케칭가라진 땡가서 모터 제체데 인스타 단단데게 파티카레세나 Lewis and Clark 고게다 치통 제제게다 롱 치통 제제게다 고 토토와라 네 아리게 제용라다 아리용라도 스타코 드지친 드지치고 값에 아니 신투고 바틴다 레스타 신투 가리코레스네 가리 통마 통당 딜라이 고요레스타 디스타바임바나 데나라 아니 고게 이기 트리오레 데나 싱게 양 아르모양 바비오레스
Here is Alexander Graham Bell's drawing. He is the inventor of the telephone. And this was his journal page in coming up with that invention.
Tan digarala Alexander Bell gi korangi jite gina sintu na jite na sintu ko shajite restati asuge thuma khaparte sato nangkhan ko resta ko gi khaprtan jebi gi kola kannado yomete dos ane korangi ta sintu kannado chitri yomete dege pardiga tes.
You can see his words over here. It says, "To my delight, he came and declared that he had heard and understood what I said." And so he's talking about his discovery with the telephone, getting the first telephone to work.
다 그게 카퍼통 담보 데이터 리카치 트바 종아데 그데 트샤도스 나른 기타 지가 가트치 와실라야 미티 아니 나살라 용데데 그 가리 데시 잡송세나 그게 나른게 개체 시주때 고아다 나른게 개체 시주때 개 고아다 같이 시주때 나한테 구송세 된 데시 잡송스타 되게 갈라나 토 담보데라야 카퍼 sabto chi wa te tribute sambagi netante dena introduce.
This is another important journal from John Moore. He was one of the first people to fight to preserve natural land in the United States. And you can see from his journal that he's drawing alligators that he saw. And let me get this out of the way. It has a pretty quote in it. It's some beautiful words, not only drawings. He said, "I only went out for a walk and finally concluded to stay out till sundown. For going out, I found, was really going in." So he had this new understanding while he was out walking, and he recorded that new understanding in his journal.
John Moore Queshabateris. The Queen by now, Arigis Hachamampuchi, and a Ranshongi, Nivu, Sonchuchi Gundu, said Tigalaya, and a quota, Tigashu Changiris, Tig quota, Ranshongi, Tachilang side, Varota, Linkat in the door, near Budu Senatris. Takogi Tigala, that pay. Remove pain in Jimotriore, remove in Geotrinems, and ye get the young pay out in the Trisha, and they're removing at an Degalang, which is in Geotricity that were alligator to the Yoris. The Pisha and digging on a Kukarichi Trisha, and a all the Laji, Tensha, Tukurum Trisha Jutin on it. Like Chilola, Kambajaga Chimba Yins, Nimba Naya, Takamba, that Tonton Shijaga Chimba Yins, in Naya, and the Tamatanga Karichi in by Mesna. Nima touching Nima Manapet Chiloni there to touch a by ins. That Munisha by Nanga Chilwan Druyati, Chilola Chimbaris, Chilo Chimbari da Ina Tila Teningi Kari, Hakuson Sena, Moniton and Chilola Druyati, Tong is and this is Nanolaya and in Druyata Chiparidus at this and chansons.
Okay, so why am I showing you journal after journal after journal? I'm trying to make a point that all of these great scientists have made discoveries and held them in the journals. I should move more quickly. This one is actually a radioactive journal. It's held in a lead box in the library because it's so radioactive. If you want to visit, you have to actually put on special radioactive protective gear. But Marie Curie, who won 2 Nobel Prizes, this was her journal, and you can see her drawing and making notes in it.
The Karsatanga Sinto Mampuchi Yago, but the Ramshin the Kutrichia, what the kitchen ransit is such things, Tanda de Tap, Tanda Chetu Toya Dea, Mary Curie, Tanda Tinga, so Nobel Prize Nistrat, what Tinga, so Jetu Ranjin Jingi, and a Zela Atashi Bagi, Atashi Kibachirua, a Temparua, Tinstambala, Tashi Chibi Caps. Tempi kanda chongwa chong tegi ane sentu ko pa tinda res. Ta tanda de la ya ko yang tayo res. Ta bai bai na yang tanda ki te ta koran ta karse ta jetu ranjin cheng zela takshi jiwi ki te shu chi chakzang dutep gang la yang ko jetu ranjin cheng zete le de yorwa. Tin stamba la yang ane de la ya taga dro bai na tayo res. Taga dro bai bai na yang ko mata ga ngay la ya tanda ta Jetu Ranjin Ching Zete, no Michia, that Zupugan Telecoyant, Chatsama Conchi, that and Chimba Details.
Okay, so now I hope I have convinced you that this is a practice that has proven very useful to many great minds. I wanted to remind you of some quotes, one from the Buddha about how we should test ideas as a goldsmith tests gold. And one is from Socrates, an important Greek philosopher, who said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." He said this 400 years before Christ. And then I put myself on the same page, which is very proud of me, I guess. The unexamined class is not worth taking.
The loom good hair decision to watch later is that data nansing de la Suga song kitchen with the Kashisha is 다 담보된 바이나 아니 돈바 선지전데 되게 아니 다 디커사 게론 tokk 키남 지당아 속에다 기바 상마게 아니 나랑 까텔라야 셀라 tokk 지원하자 tokk 지구그레 또 소요레스와 아니 디제 tani Socrates gita tandagi ishigi machigi lujjangwala toga ani matak pi mitsi chilaya ani tunigirin thayo maris ta mitsi tichi rechi shashana tila topa machi bani tila tunigirin thayo maris nante tiga ola ya ngarangi trisha jugi chiyeswa ti kari insena matak pi lopchi chigi bayna matak pagi lopchi chigi bayna ti jonga bayna la ya rinthayo maris ti ins.
So you already knew this, all of you knew this, and you already debate as a way to examine your lessons.
다 되게 내당대 제주 학고요레스. 티 가르치는 학고요레스나 제주 티샤주 대강라 같이 바이나야 대강라 다 줄어서 줄란치데 땅티 디도문데 telaya tapachig요레스.
But I would like to emphasize and bring to you the value of writing in journals and lab notebooks as a way to examine your lesson as well.
다 대나 신기 나라 가르고트 진이로 송세나 아니 단다기다 지수기 섬신 장와 대게 가서 그랬다 대라야 섬신 장샤주대 딱딱대 도무도 대라야 지가서 그랬다 딱파 지역이 제도 아니 다 디테 땅아 양나 가서게 딱시기 디테 그나 달리 신투고야지 요와 어디엔 괜찮보인 비기네 단데 못 치기스.
So here are some learning goals for this short lesson today. I want you to know about some famous scholars and how they use journals, and then be able to list multiple benefits. There's so many possible benefits we could list. And so I have some long lists of benefits to the practice of writing and drawing in journals. And then I want us to have some time, if I can move quickly enough, for us to actually give it a try, do a little in-class exercise where you try out using journaling in the classroom as a teaching method. And then finally, my ultimate hope is that you would integrate your journaling into the lesson plans that you are making for the future as you become teachers.
Mige dode karin sena kiba takching gisintu kanado chu metela ya julen chiache ane tigna la ya jitina do triba imbana sintu ti yigi tela remote triba ina tela kipin hachama boji ora te tang munzi chiache ane tibse ane chig zo de karsugreda tanda chig sintu goya chorwa te maumpa la ya ane chig sintu goya la ya tela ya chig ta sabindo ma sona lamto kanado chi chig du mete ngoto chiache 네 타마텔라야 마음발라 치츠고 삼친 트리비 값을 야 지금 삼친 티바당 냠도 데라 아니 신투 주고야 계신보인 바당 신투 나텔레 삼친 트리비 냠도 배치당야 지거와 어디 주트가 지지기인스.
So here is an example of a journal that contains both observations and facts. So when Darwin was traveling around the world, he noticed that birds had different beaks on the different islands. Their bills were different on different islands, and different species of birds had different ones, and that this variety caught his attention and he noted it. Then later in his journal, he had reflections and he considered the meaning of those observations and facts. And so journals can hold both things. And this structure is one that I've actually used in classrooms with the monastics, asking the students to write on the right-hand side of the book their observations and facts and lessons from the classes. And on the left-hand side of the books, to write some of their own reflections and what they think this might mean.
Tanda delata by Bannerwa, that Darwingi Koran, the Linton Mampuchla Drubi Caps, that Carichoma Chonte race, that Delaya, Yeshota delata by Bana, and Eco, Taship, and then Mutant Chorwa, Tapshitoma, Mutant Karimbati or Resta, Linton Mando Ganlaya, Chagi, Chuchi or what the Mando Yobati, Kukari, Tumba Carichomati, Dusilmo Kosha or Restra, ne, you should delata by Bana. 아니 가르스그래 koge ane tela ya samji kariche batang tela tende ta nangtong kan ro chik teng du sa chiro tentong kan ro che sha sa te chi yores ta de ge ngode ara imba na zinda na la ta hobat ta chun chu la chen tri bi kapsin zinda na la pechu ta ya la karsu gre ta thapsi tang ge yes pechu tang ge yes kandas tang ge yes na ye cho de la ro ye ge sho de la ya ta ship kari chong so ta ni ngeten kari resha te che yeng ge cho la ya 수수가 삼루당가 되다 아니 데라야 니 과간으로 지라임도 데라 남동간으로 지르샤스 때 주지비스.
So when we are using active learning strategies with our students, not all of them are equal. Not all work equally well for certain things. And I feel that the journal works especially well for revealing the student's way of knowing their past knowledge and also prompting a discourse, a conversation to reconcile the old and the new. And so I actually make both time and space in my classes for the students to do this. By time and space, I mean, I really take some time with them in the class for them to write in their journals and to consider what they've written in those journals and to integrate the old and the new into the new understandings that they go forward with. And I do that both in the class and in their notebooks.
당아주 냠드기 시종 집이 값인 바이나 선천치야기 답시 망보지 어라 참마야 지 직바 시종기 에게 첨부인 바디나 말이스 콜라 kuga damda yoresta migi kamtam yo naspa instambalaya ani melaya ani chiga pemma pengne tamambo yores imana tanda chiga sinjiya chiga wa tanda sintu koya chiga sintu ti koya imbaina ngara imbaina pentu ko shu tonson stikare sena chigti kare pengdo sena top tu kungone wa top tu kungone ani thomagi chiga ngayogi shesha kararo chido montsegi samlu kanaro chido tema tela shu pengdo string yorwa teni jelaya tiki karchikdu sena tila teni de tirwa ani ko tata chunge da chentanga ta chuchi damda tena yo paina tiki parola ya pandum ro kana ro chichi imbe se chorwa oteta la ya pengdus ta de kapse baina degi kechin ranjin ti thong de ti ngarang zinta tv kapse karchikdu sena thoptu chola ya tandan dindan ro chi chia youtube ani khori tungi yo tinajin tichoya tv yes ta this teba tela teni de tu ngone ne sosu ge sabakari jansha ngomage kadro jeresha tela teni de tan ko samlu na la ani chi sheshe nimba de tan sabat ni cha nyam te te tan de ani chi ta khito sabat le chorwa oti chi ge ko kapti tegis.
And by doing this, by making time and space in the classroom and in their journals, I believe that the students go from just acquiring knowledge, taking in facts and observations, to actually being able to use the knowledge to solve problems. So instead of just acquiring more and more water, you can actually come to a new insight about how to use the water to solve problems. So the journal is a tool, a strategy that helps the students, one particular active learning strategy that helps the students go beyond just acquiring knowledge.
Tanda de kapsa ko sinji sintu ko gi ta ko khoi tang tisu tigi sa jwa tela tene de ti ani kari phengre sana ta nga chu ge nyamri shi jung de ga ne lopti samala ya shesha ti so lamba cha mai ba che shesha ti pecho tang de ti ani ko kange sela ya pecho tang chwa o ti ta la phenggi yo res ta de kar su ko res na chu ta de la picha sha pa ba na 아니 그 추디 딱 같이 고고치 사데 야팅 아주 시작 같이 램바티 통송하체 다 램바티 랜데네 디코마스 다 페초 땅고요 리스타 추디 가리라 페초 땅 마땅 다 거라 펜토모토 데라 페초 땅한테 nenga지 차고요 리틴스담발라야 아니 그 진짜나네 단다 신투 지역이다 거기 땅고 디츠테지로 텔라텐데데 소투 추게 아니 시샤 사바 랜다 시샤 사바 랜야티 잔치데테 티 아타 Pentoyo beginning la pecho tangaya and give me your risk.
So when I use journals in my classroom as teaching and learning tools, I take time to explain why I'm using journals. And I make time in the class for writing in journals and sharing their journals. I also show my own journals as a model, and I show, of course, other people's journals to try to inspire them. I help the students with some structure, for example, the left and right side of the book, or giving them particular prompts for them to use. And I require the journals. Nobody can get out of keeping a journal. It's an important tool. And finally, I emphasize for the students that they should be drawing, not only writing in their journals.
Các 나랑게와 때 신토데 아니 섭지지야다 아니 럽종지야게 딱고 락샤도 지라 베주 당게 예장 아니 때 지와데 아니 럽트솔라야 네 진단안에 베주 해라야 네또 망부지도 모토지기 예스 당보데라야 아니 다 신토디 개천가랑 신데 고 모토지기 예스 아니 디체라야 럽트솔라야 그래서 그래다 진단안에 Sintuti Jiadang, and this Sintuti Mijandal Desejage, and a Kuketan Sutima Zuyus, Take Jelaya, and it Tinano was Sintuti Jialaya, and a Pitsuntanch, or Susugishatima, Pitsuntayatan, and Tinajing Mishanda to Pitsuntayag, Kuketan Tangius. Take Jelaya, and a Karsugre. 지금 선두 지바인바나 지역이 다 지금 지상지원 와고 고바당 남바간도 지면데 아니 아니 간다도 주고 요매기다 람뚱기 사분 람뚱 지야지로와 어때 지기 스타트 지야들라 비차샤나 나랑 전자나라야 아니 그 쇼응의 예바데 아니 그 다시샤 사발라 베쳤다야다 쇼응의 유연바데 수수가 삼츠당 디 엄동간도 이면 지거와 텔라 베쳤다야게 된다 지기스 때문에 아니 디케 첨부 인장 난 전자나네 그 전자 랜닝 롭트 참말이야 아니 그 단인대 지금 인증민지 쿠아다 되가라야 지기지기스 아니 때문에 아니 지금 맞고 선투지세나 선투라야 이게 참마인바 선투 이게 단 냠도 야 리무 지야대야 그 개침부인비게 고마지기스.
So why do I emphasize drawing so much? Isn't writing to learn enough? Well, people learn in different ways, as Mina was saying, and some really wonderful understandings can come from drawings. Drawings are also useful for a whole long list of different reasons. And I've just put a bunch of them here, but there are more. They can help you remember things, especially if you revisit your old journal entries and share them. I pull out my journals from India and from Nepal now, and I show them to other people all the time and flip through them myself. And it reminds me of things. It helps me as an aid to my memory.
Disagrees that Jingatsu Drizin Jongachuar, one Drizin Jonga Tichuina Digamaris, Yigich Buchina Digamaris said in the US. In by Nayangaso to Aya me Mandala, Jaiga Tapshit Mandala, Ratins Dambalaya, Ramud Dratia, Ketchambutsu, Esta, Ketchambutsu, Johnson, Mambu, Yopinani, Kasish Dam, the Tansayas, Tin Chikarasena, not so Chambas, Suelaya. Chicken Sutella Pengdus, the Instambata, Goma Jagala, Drubi Caps, Marangasan Tuna, Telecarich, Tomatontizo, Trisha Yuste, Mishandala Tingi, Nangara in Banama, Tea Caps, Kari Tuat and Kari, Joaete, and the Tensutella Pengdus.
Drawing in journals and lab notebooks also helps to keep you engaged. You're actively engaged. So students who are falling asleep or are bored and listening to a lecture is just not very stimulating for them. If you ask them to draw something in their journals, it keeps them engaged. It certainly helps with your observations. So when you are drawing something, you notice all kinds of small details about it. And a lot of science is observing and noticing details. And so drawing is a very powerful tool for that.
다 현대적 가를 팽그레스나 가수가 다십제라 팽그레스 다 전력 다 상마 답실라라리게 빠당 아니 저런 게 리모트 바이바이나 아니 지금 리모트에랑 단다 다시 중화대당 제외기 십차대다 안고바치게 레스틴스탄발라야 델라텐데데로와 단다 가수가 리모트 바텔라텐데데 가수게 아니 전력 답실라야 팽도 좀 그레스
It helps you communicate with others. It reveals misunderstandings that you might have or that somebody else might have. And it includes many different views. When you bring in the students' ideas in their journals, suddenly their voices and their ideas and their thoughts are in that classroom with you in a way that they aren't if you don't have journals and you just lecture, and you don't listen to them.
다 현대적 지역에서는 미현대 냠던 저와 지야당 지가 삼주 지리지야 때라 팽게스 다 딜라텐데 데딩 아소게 갈소 그래다 미시다 수수가 다츠던 현대가 다츠 노라임바나 대양 지출로라 뭐야 지거와 어때용 거래 아니 다치 다츠던 삼천 잠다 르먼도 아치냐트 콘트코요레 팀세 네 속투수가 삼스카리 예바 대양 하고요레 아니 지카스가 속투수가 삼스테 동해가 국가칭이라고 요레 스테멘다 내가 수 남진지 제트랑 지대바인바나 파시시시시시 수수 가리 신바데 파시라 마토피 속투수라야 양고 삼스던 다츠 만도 예바데 고 도치트고요 말레스
So I had a question for you all about promoting teaching and learning using journals. So if you would get out your cards and try to answer this, is it A, does it help with writing and drawing? Writing and drawing are a form of thinking. B, does it provide space and time to consider old and new lessons? C, does it support a search for meaning, not only a collection of facts? Or D, are all of these true?
다다 델라이 치출라야 드라치 스텔라 인덤치기 인스 이탄다 이드기치 인스와 네 델라야 카스나 섭주동 시종 페이지에 선tun로라 때니 아니 돈투비기 니와카리요 레스타 콜라 카리카리치는 팽그레스와 아니 담보델라야 에델라야 니 이기 주어던 리모 주어때 니가 양 삼식 셰파던 송교 레스와 담보데제 니바델라야 아니 선투두스 거바임바이나 아니 카스고레다 맞출라야 다 시샤에 만들고 함슨 서바 땅 님바 니차가 되라 아니 지금 삼루 땅야게 뒤쪽은 거기니까 그것도 지그레스 다들 워들레스 마델라 양이 주샤지들 마치가 썼던 인사래 되게 그 지금 돈도 가서 그랬다 미턴데 들은 자마인 바로와 미턴에 들은 자마인 바 아니 선투가 가릴라 팽그레스는 농턴 초르지알라양 팽겨레스와 농턴 초르지알라야 그게 란도 지그레스와 아니 타마델라야 아니 제델라야 아니 공기 던도데 참마레샤스 You want count 1 2 3
Yeah, I'm having, is this working? I can't see. Can you guys see a little bit better?
Yes, I see all blue except one
Yes,
green.
yes. Okay, yes. And we could come up with many more, you know, A, B, C, D. We could have had a long list of many ways that they promote teaching and learning. Wonderful. Okay. Then I have made my point. I was hammering on this point, hoping that I could make that point. Okay.
대야고 두세 단단가 속에 따지 시종 배기 제도 지금 답런단 자 맨더만 부 대요 레스타다 지속의 렌터다레샤스
All right, so if you would now, we'll do a little in-class exercise. So I want to pretend that, you can use journals mixed with lectures. It's not an either or. And I want to pretend that I have given you a lecture. This particular topic, let's say I gave you a lecture about seeds. And so I talked for quite a while about seeds. Maybe I told you that they have a shell around the outside and then there's food inside the seed for the baby plant. Maybe I talked to you about the genetics of the baby, that it was, a haploid egg was fertilized by a haploid sperm to make a diploid embryo. Maybe I talked about the importance of seeds for spreading and reproducing for plants that came onto land. So we're going to just pretend that I gave you a whole lesson on seeds.
아니 사변이요. 사변단 되어요 주게 아직 삼천씩 칩이 와단다가 속에 데데 단다 리모트야다 데 가서 리모트야다 단다 신투 거야치고 와 신투 거야데 삼천 쳐바다 냠다 디나디고리스 지상 단다가 속에 삼천씩 데치 트리오비 원다 당고 삼천디 아니 사변강라 칩바체 이 사변강라야 칠로고 고티로 차고디오레스 되게 낭라야 아니 사변디 This biwa impana biu kapsu la kubigi ani khalayo reswa timse ani karsugureda sabunti yang tangbote sabunti tanda tinda do geta ko kars natsuge ta convention dress ko rota convention day big sabun kombote chayala ya natsuge ta karsugureda sab kam re yuchuge ani ta ka thapon ni de nyam diwala tene de ani ta nga chu thapon gi gongbuchi chakoro landi gu gongbuchi chakoro ti tang do yu chi gi da saben da do yu chi gi kola somchen chi ta jibuchi trebi want tang yes.
Okay, so if I was teaching in an old-fashioned, not particularly active way, I could just lecture at you about these things, about seeds, and expect you to write down notes about these things, and then later on an exam, expect you to be able to share that information back with me.
Mahanta keti ngarang gi chita namjing gi sojing gi thamsin thik yu bi want chi tang bai bai na niane thamsin gi karsugureta ta sabindang do ju thamsin ti korla ya ani cheche che ma ko she ti je la ya ni riode karchigors ne chechugal ti ma song jang te ngachora chi tang ne thamate la ya jikto tang bi kapsu te ta la ten de ta chechu kari singi yu me ti tokku yorwa o tinda do gi ya ko thamsin chia gi na ba chi yores.
But we have all had lifetime experiences with seeds. We have eaten seeds and planted seeds and had memories about seeds in our lives. And wouldn't the lesson be so much more meaningful and interesting if I made time and space for the students to consider their memories about seeds?
Tanga chuin bai na ro ta sabotan do chu nyam pensin chokpo yore sabon sa yore deb yore ta dramada chi chi yore stins tambala ya ngarang thamchin tv kaps ani tho tu chu la su la ya ani sabontan do chu nyam kar yu me ti ne khusu ngone ro tho chu ngone ne te mar chi dese jaga da tia ta ro tia ge ko kap te bai bai na ya gom do yes.
So I want to do just like in that journal that I showed you of the nun. She drew those pictures of the flowers on the right-hand side, the lesson, and then on the left-hand side, she wrote some of her reflections and her memories and thoughts about that topic. On the left-hand side, she filled her journal with that. So I want us to try that today. So you could draw a line in your page and imagine that on the right-hand side is just all the new information about seeds. But on the left-hand side, let's take some time now for you to write 2 seed-related memories. These are things that you have experienced about seeds before you came into the classroom today. And so you can draw those, you can make little drawings about them and write little notes about them in words on the left-hand side of your page. And after a few minutes, we'll get together and share those.
Tanda karma kashish la chitu karichiro chisana techigins tanda ngasu de jondar chichigins tanda chitu ngela ya parchitan so chela chichisha jures ki detective parchitan so dela ya yisho sala ya remote industries yensho sala ya muga samchita ane chiga deri de triores wa nyamne de triores tati nashik tanda chitu troches chitu tanda detective yopana detective kimani ma ko tichig jab ta yisho dela ya ta karichigures na 예초라야 아니 사분도로 주게다 니츠 가리 사와 지거와다 단다 찰라야 티트무 거제 그 주주티고 연초라야 니체초게 티트로지스 제초라야 아니 사분당 저요 주게다 냠뇽 뭐마게 냠뇽 치고와 티게르게 티나로 만도 아니스 트로지스 가마 가시랑라야 티트로지스 때문에
Let's do this a little more quickly so we don't run out of time. How about if we take 6 minutes? So you'll have 3 minutes for each of your memories to write it down.
다 땡아 속에 냠뇽 타야나 템바 세고로다 뭐마게 냠뇽 소주게 템바 티나도 콜라야 트로치스 단다 지알라야 karma 2 years wa karma ani simde peche tang de ta ani 냠뇽 타야나 티탄 되어 주게 템바 차원당 되어 주게 템바 소주게 ngomong tang de na ro segowa 티나도 만다와 니스 트로치스 karma 2 years
I'm so glad you're doing the seed story.
Mina's heard this one. I've done this one with my class before. In my actual botany class. So guys, I'm thinking that they should probably select one of the memories. So if they share them in their groups and then choose which memory they want to, how do you think we should do this most efficiently so we don't run out of
So
time?
I randomly pick, there are 8 tables. You can randomly pick a number and just say someone from this table. You just decide. You have the power
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
You're like the president or God. I don't know, whatever you pick the number and then Dawa will tell that table to share.
Okay. Yeah, if we had more time, it's really nice to take your drawings on tour so they can all see them. Or if you have like a doc cam, you can put them under the doc cam and project the image of their journals up. But for today, just to illustrate how interesting these memories are.
You know, I wonder, Anna, if it makes sense to ask somehow to be able to record and look at these stories. Maybe we will ask the on-site instructors to take, because there's one at
Photos.
each table. They
Yeah,
can
and
take
share
a
them with us.
photograph of each of these and maybe share it in the Google Classroom.
Yes, I'd love to see them.
So Anna, did you see my video picture? Can you see this?
You with your dog?
Yeah, we lost him on April 21st.
Oh, Mina, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
he almost 14.
yeah. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
I know, I feel sad when I see the picture of him. But then I'm
Yeah.
happy I see it there, but then I think of it every time I'm teaching.
Yeah. You must have your house be haunted now. You must hear him around. Was his name
Yeah,
Pippin? Pippin?
yeah, Pippin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Hindus, we say 1 year the soul roams before it goes into a new body. So he'll give a puppy some life in a year.
Yeah. So just a last minute or two here. Okay, let's finish up drawing and writing those memories, and then let's begin to share them within among the monastics at each table. If you would share them with each other. Just take a minute to tell each other about your memories.
다 지야당 지 참샤지 니 조세나라야 소소게 로파요로 트럭티강나 유주 로파스 냠데 니소소게 지가 돈도지오로 템바스요게 돈도티 무토시로 지사
Anna, when you're done, I think Tenzin has something. He'll share his own seed story.
Oh, okay. Should we start with yours, Tenzin? Or we can go around among the tables.
Yeah, I can. No, it was. I was part of a
Dawa
teaching
taki the instruction de tada komaso.
알레 단다 데네 체수 낭콜라야 트위터시로 지사 kuza 낭코니 셰로 지사 조세강라다 로파도 냠데 소소게 가리트요 메테데 시자로 지사 갈마 지인지그리나
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether the monks also realized the same thing that I shared.
It could be. People may have the same memories. I'm thinking of sampa, right? Sampa is a seed,
Yeah.
and you
it's all
roast
good.
it and make the flour from it.
Yeah. And nowadays, I mean, more than samba.
barley
Mm-hmm.
We eat. So I mean, it was at a nature camp. I think we were talking about seeds, and that made me realize. I mean, we are more of a seed eater, like because we eat rice every day.
Yes, absolutely. And corn, and yeah, think of all the seeds we eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Samba nowadays people eat less, but I think rice. I think even the monastics they eat every day.
I know. I eat rice and I eat all the spices. You know, I cook with mustard seed. I cook with cumin seed. I cook with
It's all seeds that we are eating every day.
and all the pulses when we're eating pulses, like dal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we are definitely a seed eater. We're more like birds.
Granivores.
Yeah.
So they're all sharing now, right, with each other at their tables?
I think so. Yeah. I can
So
see
Anna, if
them
you go to the
talking.
picture, go to the picture of the monastics in the top button of the photograph, you'll see 3 little dots. If you click on that and you select pin, it'll show them in larger size.
Maybe I have to stop sharing for that to work, because I tried it and it doesn't fill my screen with it.
No, Anna, maybe, I mean, there are a couple of views, right? So you can select the standard view.
Okay.
And then if you pin the participants, then you'll see them. And then you can increase the size. You can just drag the window and then you can see them bigger. Yeah, I see you doing that, even though I cannot
You see
see.
me trying to do it. I can't seem to get it to get
No,
big for me.
I can see your mouse moving around. That's all I see. But
I think it just has to do with this sharing, that while I'm sharing it, it's giving me trouble.
Well, you could also change the screen. So when you share, you can share and
Oh, there,
drag.
they're
the-
huge. Now I can see them. Super. Okay. So let's hear from some of you. If I call out a table number, perhaps somebody could share one of their seed memories from that table. How about table number 2? Somebody from table number 2?
도세 안타 니바 간데 미치게 아니 사본들어 주게 냐면 선로치다사
we cannot hear him. Yeah. I think they are muted on the Zoom. That's why. The classroom is
For me
muted.
to unmute them?
Oh, no, they're
Yeah.
unmuted now.
안저 로아니와 게니 세인데 가르다면 망고 여라 암게 세인데 담이에시 데 암게 세인데 가완 라겔라나 암 쿠란 나노라 요레스라
네.
아니 지단 쿠란 암게 세인데 탁보쇼 요레스 아니 고 따비엘라 레로시라 요레스라 아니 고 답자비 제라 아니 암망보시라 떼기레스 아니 다나싱이 코바 다 심보 야세야라 아니 추단도 망보쇼 고레스
We chose the seed of a mango is inside the mango. The shell is really hard, and if we just plant it, it grows and it will give more mangoes. And we know that it needs a lot of water to grow.
Yes, mango seeds, absolutely. And it's so hard to get the fleshy fruit off of them and to cut around them. Somebody from table 3, a memory of seeds?
순반이 주성로치다사 다 사본단 로요 비기 냠뇽다 아는 뭐마기 단다 되는 주성로치다사 나한테는 저한테는 이제
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, Anna. And very happy to see you again here.
Oh, it's good to see your face.
Yeah,
Oh,
I remembered all your journal, you told us before. So
Yeah.
today, what I draw is, can I show you?
yes.
Camera fault now. I think it's not clear.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
now
clear
I
now.
can see. Yes, now I see you watering.
Okay,
You're
okay.
watering. Yes, yes. Yes, I see it now.
Yeah. So this is the what I draw. Yes, I think main thing what I think is every farmer, when they every year they plant some seed and then put in a water to grow it, and while they're waiting to grow it, I think when it's put properly water and then some like also they sometimes need like temperature when they grow it also is I'm thinking is it helped to their mental health, when they grow it bring a lot of joy, and then it become more happy, and then at the end when they enjoy the fruit, right? It's a fruit, but I didn't get enough time to draw all the pictures, but I will do.
I love that. I love that. All the different gifts that we get from seeds, right? So the first one perhaps we think of as food, but then you can get other gifts from them for mental health or for, there are other things that they bring to us. So each of these, we'll hear one more memory, and then I'll show how you can use them to spark the conversation in the class. So I'll hold some ideas here, and then when we've heard a few more, we'll show how you can use it to spark conversation. But that's beautiful about about the different gifts of the seed to us. They give us many different things. Yes. Okay, so how about table 7? Table 7?
시에신 있어요. 테이블 뒷번이.
알로. 아주 이 순직답이 뭐뭐 순직답이라 안디 전도는 그거스 아주 디 순데 가리순답이라 는 sunflower 순답이 안 당보답디 아주기 출루 니마 당보도 출루 안 리사몰루인스 니마니와델 니마 카시실라 아주기 도나 카르촌슬라나 아니 디 sunflower 니 짜지기게요 아니 짜춘주시게요 도나 춘스 안디니 니마 듄실라 양교따디 아니 디니 타칼디 짜토스 데 뭐뭐 준준지라 대체르르샤스 안디 첼라 도나 카르촌슬라나 안디니 로마도든게 고투스스 니슈 제랑교따디 아니 로마캬마세 아니 딜라 티우야 마무케샤스 아니 디니 니마 십샹가 첼라 안딜라 티우 상마 안 멘도스 차샤스 안델 디니 가조 카르촌슬라나 아니 sunflower de kiela nima nishu sumjus kurges arrest in the sources.
They have discussed about planting the seed, a sunflower seed they have planted. They just observed the days it took to grow, and for the first day they just planted seed, watered it, manure, and the fertilizers added it. And then in a few days, they see like some small shoots coming up, and within 7 days, and it become bigger. And so they just explain like days that it took to grow. So what they think at the end, what they think is it takes about average of 30 some days to grow a sunflower seed into a mature plant.
Wonderful. So these all touched on different topics. And as the teacher, if I am teaching the subject about seeds, I could choose to spend time on each of these topics. I could discuss about a single seed, like a mango or an avocado that has a single ovule, it's called, inside the ovary that gets fertilized, versus something like a papaya, right, that has many, many seeds, or a pepper that has many seeds. And I could take from the discussion about mangoes, I could say, oh, a mango is like a single seed. Can you think of some that have many seeds? Or we could use that to start a conversation in the class about how the seeds are arranged or how they get fertilized, right? So it could start a new conversation. About the speed that things grow, we could take that and go in a new direction and discuss the nutrients and the things that the seed needs to grow at different speeds. Or we could discuss designing an experiment. What kind of data table would we make? What kind of records would we keep about the speed that it was growing and how fast or how many leaves it had? Or do you see how these journals are giving us a way to come into this topic, to open the topic? And then the subject about all that we get from seeds, it's another one. We could have a whole different conversation about what do we get from seeds? For instance, all the different foods that we get from seeds, how important they are to our society. Tenzin, you had some memories about seeds. You want to share, or some thoughts about seeds that you were sharing with us while they were working? What are some ideas on how much we get from seeds?
Yeah, I was wondering maybe Dawa can translate the first part, and then
yes,
I can quickly share after that.
Dandanga so the sabun ke chip yin stambala sambuling asula mambuchi rayores from mambuchi rayores. That's having by now as sabin taba bana sabin and tachi shangdi chile bana sabin de kasakanski chutanda mango do avocado do in bana na do to sima shio mara sabin chirwa. Dinashi papaya do in bana chicken na mambu yorwa. 되게 정신 될라야 망보다 요래서 네 현대 만에 가서 사본지 대바이바나 콜라야다 고야카르부도 사당 주당 르당 라소파 같이 고 유메당 네 거츠 살롱 중앙라인 적세 같이 유메게 장토 대양고 망부지 여바도 가서 들으시 스타 데달라 대바이바나 가서 지금 대단 저 유튜브기 딱 진짜 현대 만에 가서 지금 사본이 뉴쿠치 촌스타발라야 도체 같이레셔랑 체 같이레셔 아니 그게 가서 그래다 적세 같이 지금도 사가 네타 망부지거와 나츠게 다시 좀 피하게 데이터 나츠게다 장투로 고바이바나 나츠를 데이터리 아니 지가 차팅 마스나 하장 망부 라고도 우스와 되지 아니 되게 제라야 단계 아니 겐텐선함 라게 거기 영 4분 던 레비기 냠냠 치송송스 아니 데라 티양시 데라 망라야 레시자로 치스
Right, thank you. I'm just going to speak in Tibetan so that we can have space, save time. Yeah. Thank you. Yedi renyama ngadu sabian kolya tuduchi chungdu samba dingye ne ngara de lol tema sola. Jigo samba dandu samba tangazu namgyu khala sayad nzu mangchi tseda de sagyu samde gorwa. Anta jigo ngara samba dandu samba ta de samba sabian roi. Jigo samba ta nima da wa de sadu samba tangazu sabian shigo sagyu do ngazu de nima chiliya. Ta thanga ro jawe na. Samba tangazu diyo ngazu shasen da kare tsasen la wara tangazu sabian sangye do chagdo chojin samba dandu samba sabian di emong sabian tamba도 지메네 동년 사변을 진 사고라는 거죠. 지금 선바 나중에 세대게 망제다 사변 사등에 도 차도 뒤다 알아다 니마 인데도 사변한테 여기 양양도 근데 chance.
So thank you. So you can see that just by making a little time in the class for people to recall their memories and things they brought into the class, we can actually open the conversation, make it so much more, so much richer than it would be otherwise if I didn't make that time. I realize about time that I'm about to run out. And so I want to share my screen one last bit with you. And let's see. That's not it. Stop here. I have to get.
지금 나머지 럽디 마징엔 두주점 봐 있나? 아니 소소기 또 당연히 냠용다 되게 치전치 주버 있나? 아니 리모다 단지 신지게 단지로 진짜 탑람 돈에 럽진 가리 여버디 아니 로마 호랑 저기 주제되나 대화 야가체 아니 럽디 제 되게 차주버 연구를 했다디. Dawa has to go somewhere at 12:30. So
I know, so we have to hurry. And now I'm trying to get us back to the slideshow.
it's fine. We started 5 minutes late, so I think we can go till 12.
Okay.
5.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
And then Tenzin, after Anna ends, can you maybe tell the on-site instructors to take pictures of each of those stories, and then they can upload it in the Google Classroom.
Okay.
Okay, so now I go to slideshow, and I just want to show you a few of the ways that these journals in my monastics classes have been especially useful. So these are topics that I covered with the monastics, and then things that the students wrote in their journals. So for instance, I was talking about the microbiome, and students wrote in their journals about the blessings that you say before eating, about simbus. And I learned about that blessing because of asking the students to take the time, not only to take notes about the microbiome, but then to write some of their Buddhist texts and lessons that they know about the topic of microbes.
No. Tadi microbiome dinge kari gugi me hago masura handa di trasin den resha china ngazo dubi nali trasin mangbo yorwa ani the trasin kolia shebe kablia ni kidubo solia khazin ngoma lobdi shebe kablia ani sindi ga kolia lobdi tiero la didu samba ani tande trasin gi jishi shora dida ani tande di ngazo nangje nang lolia tachi ngazo subu nang lia simbu mangbo yor la shora dida dewa ta che ani lobjen kari tigi yorwa ani suzu dinge gi ga 냠냠 되게 다 대화다야 줘라. 되게 톤에 아니 럽디 제기 되준 체인스.
Another example was I was teaching about the 3 layers in the embryo. They're called the outer, middle, and inner layers of the embryo. And when I lectured about that and the students wrote about it on the right-hand side in their journals, on the left-hand side, they wrote about the male and female contributions to the body. The Tibetan medical view of 2 contributions, male and female, instead of 3 contributions of the 3 layers.
Dina shi anda di embryo yara anda di tumor la gra peje tanga de ke je do da tumor nang lo ya de ribosum yo be peje ni she yin de samba ya de kap le ya la wa yen cho le ya ni ki de ba so gi ta ta jin so gi be peje de le ya nang je de mar de tan di me shung nang lo le ya ni pomo ni gi ta ko le je ro di ni dom gi ta sum da mar de ta ni da ni gi to ne ni the too much higher the chagi yo the industry those conflicts.
And then the last example here just happened in Nepal. I was teaching about digestion, and I asked the students to write in their journals about any Buddhist lessons or teachings, philosophy or theology that had to do with food. And one of the nuns wrote about fasting retreats. And when they are on a fasting retreat, they pray for the hungry ghosts. And she had drawn a hungry ghost and written about hungry ghosts in her journal.
In the present somebody any say you don't call it lobs and the lobs and the Zumasoli, Yigati, Nanjotoni, and Delia, Java the Carduas, 2 years, to some man conjugate the Yune dead and the Ora, Calamasans dead and the Ora, Didani, Didig Yamyon call the conjugation and Godostra, Yamunche, and Dina Deg and the Idayara, Idada, any Yune Deva Cabri, Idada, Chip Deomera, that near Sewa Hamaso, number of Pinchin Kingra, and the Digita, Kandar. Siri lobs and Karilabi and Dida and Nanjuda talk Zumasogi Yamyonda Terra how to develop those Kadini.
So in conclusion, I have to skip over some things, but I want to remind you that those 2 pages of the journal are really like the 2 wings that I was speaking of at the very beginning, the wings of the old and the new. And by creating the space in the classroom and in your journals, you can explore those old and new, the lessons that the students already have when they came into your class, plus the new lessons. And you have a place in the journal to explore both of those, to mix those together, to blend them together, and to discuss them in a very rich and meaningful way.
상마 땐또 마셨다. 네 타동기 슬라이드 디직동기 디낭롤 넘버스도 나 타긴gel이야 께만나시 아니 시디게베 까블이야 라고 예워지다 요마치 아니 예워들이야 아니 시디기 다 롭디 카르치게 디 다니주 사와디게 티그라 아니 요바들이야 안 소주 딩예기다 삼로 카리 요베네 디다 주시 디단데 얘기니 삼로 카이 요바디 아니 파도 초돔 제베토네 아니 소소기다 삼로리아 카리 요바티게도 두스타두 삼바 아니 롭젠티에 디게 디다 추바체 아니 띵사바체 아니 또 로마솔기 다 할라고라 호란주기 다 도난 레야단 되게 청mol리에 개발도 그랬어.
Okay, thank you guys so much. And I do look forward to seeing some of those. If someone would snap photos of your seed memories, I would love to see those.
아니 number the on-site instructor 여러 number so 조제 강래 number so 가시게 습다 대여기 리모트에나 아니 파르시기로 체스갸체 아니 구글 디나리아 루나 나도 주고 따기로 아니 겔라 코란 디타 타엘이야 되고 싶고 예스 number so 카티샤 치타도 싶도스 number
So thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much to Anna, and maybe we can thank her.
Yeah.
You guys, yeah. All right.
Okay.